All right, so let's move on to the next series. So in the Eastern Conference Finals, we have the Miami Heat against the Boston Celtics. So what are your initial thoughts on this series?
I think the series is going to be a lot closer than what most people think, considering the seeding. Right, Miami is an 8 seed, and the Celtics are the second seed, I believe.
Hmm.
Right, yeah. But the Miami Heat took out the Miami Bucks, the Milwaukee Bucks, as well as the Knicks to get to this point. So with Jim, as long as you have Jimmy in the playoffs, you kind of have a chance. So
Yeah.
Um, everyone's playing out of their minds. Everyone's even despite missing out on Hero and Oladipo, the team stepped up as a whole. I saw a great contribution. I think one big thing was Kyle Lowry stepping up big time
Yeah.
because he was not doing well in the regular season, but he stepped up big time. Kevin Love was a great acquisition, great buyout pickup for the Heat. And then other players stepping up their game. Max Strus, uh, was it Caleb Martin, a guy that was just kind of overlooked in with the Hornets, like kind of a nobody in the Hornets, right? And then he's stepping up, playing big minutes, making big plays, big shots. I remember when Jimmy was out in Game 2 in the Knicks, he had like 20 something points. So you know, I definitely don't think people should count the Heat. I don't really have too much to say about the Celtics. I think they have the best team. They are the best team left in the playoffs.
Yep.
A
Talent
lot of
wise.
depth,
Yep.
a lot of stars. With their finals run last year, they have a lot more experience. So, yeah, they have. Actually, yeah, I think Joe Mazzulla has done a great job coaching the team, even though he doesn't have as many years experience as a head coach in the NBA. Well, they're the most they're going to be the favorite, and honestly, I'm still going to pick them to win in seven
Hmm.
because I feel that it would be the same result as last year. I just think even though the Heat have Jimmy Butler and they do have Spoelstra, who I think is a better coach right now,
Yep.
Missoula, I think the talent discrepancy will catch up to the Heat in this round, just like it kind of did last year.
Yeah.
In terms of the X factors, for the Boston Celtics, I'm gonna go with the Time Lord Robert Williams. I think his country because it's gonna be hard to stop Jimmy no matter what, no matter who's guarding him. Right? I firmly believe he'll be able to get his numbers regardless,
Hmm.
just because of the type of player he is. But I think one big advantage that the Celtics do have is being able players to help guard Bam as well as Kevin Love.
Yep.
So that's gonna be my X factor. I was kind of going teetering between maybe them, maybe him, or like Derek White potentially, or Brogdon. Though I think Brogdon's probably gonna still get his numbers as he gets a lot of minutes. Or just like trying to pick a player who can score if Brown or Tatum isn't playing as well or
Hmm.
scoring well.
Yep.
But I'm gonna go with Timeless just because I think they can if they can try to lock down Bam and or Kevin Love. I think that gives them a big advantage. And then for the Heat, I think offensively, I'm gonna have to go with. Actually, I know we talked about Kevin Love prior to this call, but I might have to switch my pick to Kyle Lowry. I think his play will be imperative
Yeah.
because he's the guy that was on the team that actually has won a championship
Hmm.
and is kind of on a hot streak on being able to carry Miami and great deal of help in terms of helping them win both the Bucks series as well as the Knicks series. I
Yep.
think his experience will be able to kind of help potentially help the Heat beat the beat the Celtics this year if if they do win. I just think his leadership, and it's just his championship experience might give them that advantage.
Hmm.
Now that he's playing well, but
Yeah.
that's kind of my take.
Yeah. So I agree with you in the sense that the Celtics should win, but I mean, I don't think I've ever. I mean, I've been watching the NBA for like 22, 23 years now. I have never seen a player like just take their play to an insane level when the playoffs hit compared to the regular season. Like it's pretty insane. So I hesitate to bet against Jimmy, but from a talent perspective, the Celtics have more talent this year than they did last year, and the Heat have less talent than last year, and the Celtics won in seven, right? So
And they added Brogdon.
yeah, so exactly more talent, right? They have more talent, right?
Yeah, I was like,
Um,
Brogdon.
so for me, the Celtics should win 6 games personally. Um, just from a talent perspective, right? Now, having said that, like the Celtics have kind of messed around like the entire playoffs against the Hawks, against the Sixers, right? I mean, the Hawks went 6 games when the pressure went 4 or 5, especially with DeJounte Murray suspended for 1 game. The Sixers didn't have Embiid for 1 game, and he was hobbled for the rest of the series, and it took 7 games to win. So I say that it'll be a 6 game series, but I am very hesitant to even say that. In terms of the X factors, like honestly, like for the Celtics, the X factor to me is Joe Mazzulla. Like he didn't coach, he made a lot of bad, he either made a lot of bad calls or he didn't make any calls during both the Hawks and the Sixers, whether it's, you know, shortening his rotations, not calling timeouts, bad defensive schemes, the coverages, so on and so forth. And for me, Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the league. He does the most with the least amount because he has 7 undrafted players on his team, right? And he got his team to the conference finals again, right? So for me, you're playing against arguably the best coach in the league, if at minimum a top 3 coach, right? And Joe Mazzulla, who is a very young rookie head coach who has made a lot of mistakes throughout this postseason already. So for me, like Joe Mazzulla he's not going to be able to, win the coaching battle. He just has to limit the amount of mistakes that he makes and make some adjustments from game to game and make some decent play calls on both ends of the court, right? In terms of the Heat, for me, this is kind of cheating, but the X factor is, dude, like if they just make threes, they just like stand a chance because literally like they're they were terrible in the regular season in threes. They were bottom 4 in 3 points made. In the postseason, they're top 2 right now.
They also started playing Duncan Robinson.
Yeah. So whether it's Caleb Martin, whereas Gabe Vincent, whereas Kyle Lowry, whereas Duncan Robinson, whereas Max Strus, whereas Kevin Love, like they just need like I can almost guarantee you that if they make like 15, 16, 17 threes, then they stand a chance in each game, right? Because they just need to find points some way, somehow, because they do not have nearly as much talent and nearly as much offense, right? Because as good as a player as Bam is, he's not like a player where you give him the ball and he just scores. He kind of gets his balls through different play calls and mismatches and whatnot, right? He's not
Yeah.
someone that's going to initiate offense, and they don't have Hero either, right? So literally, like the only way to generate offense is Butler a ton of threes or Kevin Love's crazy full court outlet passes, right?
Also, just
So
Kyle Lowry setting up plays because he's a traditional
yeah,
point guard. At the end of the day,
yeah,
like he's gonna set folks up for
yeah.
the threes.
Yeah. I do think that the Heat have enough defensively to not contain but challenge the Celtics from a defensive standpoint, but on offense, it doesn't matter who it is or who those players are. They just need to make threes. Like, because literally, like, other than Butler and Bam, basically everyone else on the roster, they shoot threes. Love, Lowry, Strus, Martin, Duncan Robinson, so on and so forth. Right, their job is just to shoot threes. Right, so I don't want to like oversimplify it because I don't want to say, oh, to win you have to hit threes. But honestly, that's the way that I see it personally, because there's
Yeah,
not much else to analyze when it comes to this Heat team.
it's just great, just defense. Just I mean, they're great. They're pretty solid defensive team. So You just gotta throw them because pretty much, but just do whatever they can defensively to contain Tatum or Brown if they get hot, or hopefully they don't get like they don't explode for 51 points,
Mm.
or Tatum, or allow Tatum to all of a sudden score like 16 points in a quarter in the fourth quarter, right? So
I do see us having at least one like magical Jimmy game again though. Like that's one thing that I'm looking forward to. He's pulled some miracle games the last 3 to 4 years now, including this year.
multiple back to back against the
Yeah.
Bucks. I remember that.
So yes, so I look forward to that miracle game, right? Because it's very entertaining to like watch him just making plays, making crazy shots, making crazy passes, playing amazing defense. Because usually whenever we watch amazing playoff like performances, it's mostly on the offensive end. But
Right.
for Jimmy, when he plays amazing in the playoffs, it's on both ends, right? So you see him just dominate both sides of the court, which is amazing to watch. So it's very similar. It's not to the same scale, but it's very similar to LeBron when he was on the Cavs, when he was just dominating on both ends of the court, and he just like because he had to, right,
No, especially
playing
against
against the
Bucks.
Warriors.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what I'm looking forward to because right now in the playoffs, there's no one remaining in the playoffs that can, okay, maybe AD to an extent, but there's no one in the playoffs right now that can dominate both ends of the court to the level that Jimmy and AD can or potentially can, right? Tatum maybe, but he's been so up and down like during these playoffs, but Butler and AD are probably the two players remaining where you can get like a really magical game on both sides of the court, right?
Yep. I agree with you.